Rivers, Jazz, Monica, how about Victor Wembanyama?
Oh my goodness gracious. Listen, I cannot imagine the pressure that Victor came in. I can remember us having the draft lottery in Chicago and the comparisons to LeBron. And for him to be doing stuff like this, a 5-5 game already, Greeny? Like, it is just mind-blowing what he's up to.
Well, it brings to mind this question. We've talked a lot this week about who the faces of the NBA are, because we're coming to the end of an era here. LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant. They are the defining faces of an era of professional basketball. And each of them, of course, is much closer to the end of their career than they are the beginning. So today's Green List are the top 5 players, in my view, who are in line to become the next face of the NBA. At number 5, I will put Wembanyama. Now, it's obviously much too early to say he's going to be good enough to deserve that, but clearly he seems to have a lot of things going for him. The ridiculous size, the ridiculous skills, the ridiculous hype. I don't want to put additional pressure on him by saying, oh, by the way, you need to be the face of the league, but there's no obvious reason why he can't be, both in the United States and in particular internationally. At number 4, I'm going to put Ja Morant. And I understand there are people who are going to look at this askance. Ja Morant is a young person who has made a lot of mistakes, but he remains a very young person. And he remains, in my opinion, as watchable as any player on the planet today. If Ja Morant comes back healthy and gets things moving in the right direction, I still believe Ja Morant could become as big a star as we have in the entire world of basketball. And number 3 is a man who says he wants the title, and that's Jayson Tatum. Right now, he's the best player on what might be the best team, certainly right up there. And he's got the game, and he's got the charisma, and he's got everything going for him, I think, except for the big wins. He needs to be the best player in the NBA Finals, and I think he stakes a legitimate claim to being an MVP and to being the face of the league. But the top 2, I think, are the obvious ones. Luka Doncic. D. Wood was telling me earlier he was at the game where Luka was at the Garden. In every game, Luka does something that makes you absolutely marvel at his ridiculous talent. He is spectacular to watch. He is box office, and he's actually playing a little defense at this point as well, and his team is sneaky good. And then at number 1, I'm not even sure I should be allowed to include him, because I think Giannis already is the face of the league. Giannis was the leading vote getter for this year's All-Star game. I think he is already right alongside LeBron and Steph as the biggest star in the sport. And he's got the smile, and he's got the charisma, and he's got the personality. I think Giannis is already right there as the face of the NBA, and clearly stands as the one who will inherit this league from LeBron and Steph and KD someday. So there's my list. Giannis, followed by Luka, Tatum, Ja Morant, Victor Wembanyama. Let's get the opinion of the group here. And I wanted to get D. Wood in as well, because he's a huge basketball fan. But Austin Rivers, I'll start with you. Next face of the NBA, what do you think of the list?
Solid. The Giannis one is interesting just because he's damn near 30. And if we're going to put him on the list, then you'd have to put like a Nikola Jokic, who's also 29 years old. And he has been one of the faces of the league, for sure. But if we're talking about future and the face of the league, one, you can't have a list without Anthony Edwards, brother. We got to put Ant on that list. He deserves to be. We talk about personality and an infectious type of guy that people just want to like him. That's him. He's also must-see TV. He has the whole game. When I talk about a face of the NBA, I talk about the style of play in which they play too. When we talk about iconic players, LeBron James, the Kobe Bryants, the Michael Jordans, the fadeaways, the passes, they have hops. Their game is flashy. They have a little bit of everything. Ant plays on both sides of the ball. That when I look at face of the NBA, I put him up there. I put him at number 2, actually. But number 1 is Victor. Victor's the face of the league, man. We put it out there as the press. We've covered him more than anybody. He is the guy. He's playing well. He just signed a Louis Vuitton deal. The only other guy that has that is LeBron James. Everything that we're pushing with him, he's the guy.
Very good comments. Very quickly on Jokic. I would include Jokic, but he doesn't seem to want any part of it. Nikola Jokic doesn't seem to want any part of it. Right? I mean, Nikola Jokic it almost seems like basketball is getting in the way of things he'd otherwise rather be doing. Edwards is a good one. The only thing they'll say is
horse races.
Minnesota's been the best team in the league the whole year, and no one is paying attention. He could walk down the street.
I'm not no one. I'm paying attention, but I feel you.
Well, I mean, you know what I mean, though? Yeah. I mean, he doesn't get the same level of attention. Now, maybe that's our fault. Maybe it's the market he plays in. I don't know. And D. Wood wanted to bring up another name.
Yeah, I think SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Like, for me, Greeny, I was watching that young bull against the Los Angeles Clippers.
Yeah.
I saw him giving Paul George and Kawhi Leonard that work out there. And that was like my first time sitting down and really watching. I'm like, damn, this dude can ball. And he leads the league in steals.
Yeah.
And again, it goes back to your point, when you're talking about Anthony Edwards. He plays in Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
So not a lot of people really want to talk about the Thunder, but that man, to me, deserves to be on this list.
He's a very laid back.
He's very laid back.
Right? Yeah.
He's very laid back, and everything that OKC does is about the team. Like, they literally grab one another to do interviews together, so he's very laid back. Now, I got a little bit of a dark horse, and hear me out, because I think Austin made a great point about style of play.
Yeah.
But there's this guy in New York, and New York has been clamoring for a point guard for forever, and if you look at his numbers, usage, efficiency, Jalen Brunson, to me, he's a guy that says all the right things media-wise. He's in New York. The question marks around point guard have been so big in New York. Now, granted, the Knicks got to continue to have more success, and he just got his first All-Star. But quietly, in terms of a story that's relatable, in terms of a guy that doesn't wow you with his athleticism like the other guys on this list, I think that there's a dark horse candidate for a case for that.
I think he should have been an all-star starter. I voted for him for that, and I think he should have been that. I don't know about face of the league, but to each his own. I think Austin kind of got me with Edwards. I think Anthony Edwards under the right, they need to make a deep playoff run so the world is in tune to how special that kid is. He also plays every night. I like Anthony Edwards. That may be the one I overlooked.
Of the list, though, Greeny, I think right now it's Tatum, personally. And I hear Austin on Wemby, but I think it's Tatum right now.
All right, we'll see. We're going to see some of these guys coming up Wednesday night. We got Tyrese Halliburton. He's another terrific young player that we will see. His Pacers hosting Zion and the Pelicans. And then we will see LeBron and Kawhi, the Battle of L.A., Lakers and Clippers. Great hoops Wednesday night.
NBA,